Hi, welcome to the School Run. I'm Jane.
And I'm Liv.
And we are going to share with you the best conversations we have on our school run.
We will invite guests and debate topics that affect and resonate with every generation.
We all remember our own school run, so maybe have a think about yours.
What do you remember?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the School Run podcast. Oh my goodness, it gets better and better. The guests give us so much insight, so much wisdom. We would never have imagined over 12 months ago when Liv and I started this podcast, the support we would have had and the amazing guest stories that we've been able to listen to and share with our listeners. It's been over 16 months now since we started the podcast, over 10,000 listeners, an incredible journey. And it all started from a little idea. We had a very long journey to school. My 15-year-old daughter then at the time and it was an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. And we used to have some great chats, not all the time, sometimes listening to music, sometimes not talking too much, but lots of insightful chats. Liv used to give me her wisdom as a young person today, and I hopefully shared some of my insights and opinions on things. So we decided to put that onto a podcast. It's called The School Run. And thank you for being here and listening. If it's your first time, there's over 70 episodes to listen to, some just Liv and I on our own, and many with amazing guests that share their journey. Every day is a school day and we're always learning, and life never turns out as we plan. In fact, it can change and we can pivot through careers depending on the life's challenges that come our way. Liv, how are you feeling about today's episode? It's our second recording of the day, actually. We did one early morning this morning, and now we've got another wonderful guest with us. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. This is my second episode I've recorded since I'm 17, which is very exciting. And I feel like this episode is going to probably help a lot of people, so I'm very excited. I know I always love an episode where it's really going to help people, so I'm super excited.
Super. Well, we're joined today by Katie Hainbach. She is a mum, a carer, a singing teacher, professional singer, and she is also the franchisee and owner of Little Voices North London. So an incredible person to have on our podcast today. And Katie is recently joined our network of Little Voices, and she reached out to me on a personal note and said, Jane, I've been loving the School Run podcast, and I wondered if my story and my journey as a mum and as a carer for my daughter and other two children would be of interest to others and help others, and will you consider it with Liv? And I spoke to Liv and she said, Jane, if mum, not Jane, co-host mum, if this is going to help other people, then absolutely, that's what we're all about. So thank you for being with us, Katie.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's really exciting.
It is exciting. I don't know. I always hope that I get your pronunciation of your surname right.
And you actually got it perfect. It was really good. Lots of people don't. It was really good. Well done.
I think I've got to put that down to my own singing training when I did German at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland and getting that at the back of the throat. But it's a really interesting story about your surname, and you were brought up in Ireland. Give us a little bit of your background, Katie.
Yeah, so I grew up in Dublin. I have a younger brother, and have a funny surname for an person with an Irish accent. My grandfather, my dad's father, was a refugee in the Second World War, so he managed to escape Austria in the 1930s. He was Jewish and ended up originally in the UK and then getting a job in Ireland in a textiles factory. So hence me. My mum is originally from the UK, from actually very near where I live now in North London, and they met on holiday, and she's Jewish as well, and the rest is history, I guess. So they say she moved to Ireland, and I grew up in South Dublin and had a really happy childhood.
Oh, isn't it fascinating, people's backgrounds and stories and history?
I love I love accents that aren't English because I think they're just really cool.
They absolutely are. So I'm guessing that your education was perhaps very different to what we're used to or Liv's education. I was just saying to you before we came on air that she's studying for her A-levels at the moment, and so got a whole strategy around getting through these 3 A-levels. What was schooling like for you in Dublin? How does it differ?
Yeah, so we don't have A-levels in the Republic of Ireland. We do something called the Leaving Certificate. And that is, we do that at 18, same sort of age, but we actually have a broader curriculum, I would say. So we have to do sort of 6 subjects minimum up to 18, and some people even do 8 or even 9 Leaving Cert exams. And there's a focus on Irish language, maths, English, and most people do a science, and many people do a European language as well. So I think it's quite a good system because I think it gives children and young adults a broader education for longer. And there is a focus on different parts of the education system. So, you know, being able to have a foreign language, being able to have a science, and being able to, you know, have more options as you get towards university age or working age. I obviously did a lot of arts as well. I did music and I did art as well. But yeah, I think it's quite a good system. I was quite surprised when I came to the UK and heard that, you know, often you have to specialize quite young, don't you? You have to focus in quite early on. I think for some people that's really good, but I think for others that can be very difficult.
Yeah, I think you've sort of narrowed down your choices, but it's still, Liv doesn't know what she wants to do, and it's almost like quite restrictive when you've got to just go for those 3 as well. Although you lose a lot of the work and you can focus in, it's also restrictive in another way.
Yeah, it's also very like you said, you have to only go down to 3, which, I mean, when I get to college and there's so many courses, and then, first of all, you don't even know what those courses are like because you've never done them before. So really you're picking ones, unless you've done them at GCSE, like science or, like you say, English and maths, then really you're kind of going into it blind. You don't really know what to expect. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be choosing, if there was a singing, I'd be doing singing, I'd be doing PE, I'd probably be doing it all. But obviously I can only pick 3, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah. And our choices and things change so much through our life. That's one thing I've learned as I've got older. And I had a brief stint working as a careers advisor. There's another little fun fact. But one thing I've learned personally is, you know, who I was at 17 is very different, you know, to who I am in my 30s now. And there's lots of similarities too, but we change so much as we grow and as our life develops.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And that's really, you've hit on the essence of the podcast, really, that I found particularly that for children, the education system hadn't changed all that much from when I was at school. And I thought, wow, that's a long, long time ago, but we're still sort of channeling children to university or a degree apprenticeship and almost making them make these huge choices at such a young age. And who's bringing the breadth of opportunity to young people, that there's so many careers that you can go into and you don't have to just stick to one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very few people stay in the same career their entire lives anymore. You know, lots of people have, I guess you call them portfolio careers, and I think it's important to know about that when you're young.
Absolutely. And the range of different things that you can go into and do. So once you've done your leaving certificate, what happened next for Katie, and what finds you to what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to, well, I was pretty sure I wanted to do music. I wanted to do either music or art. And I was always a good singer. I always loved drama. Always loved my, I used to go to Saturday singing drama and dance, and really enjoyed performing. And so I was fairly sure I wanted to go down that route. So I ended up moving to Leeds, and I went to Leeds College of Music for university. I really wanted to kind of go abroad and spread my wings a little bit. So that was really exciting. And I did an undergraduate degree in music, and I loved that. I loved being a student. It was really fun. And then
I've been with you in Yorkshire, I would guess, as well, because I'm thinking I've never been to Dublin, Katie, but I'm imagining Southern Ireland as being very green, full of countryside and beautiful people. I'm sure there's beautiful people everywhere, but that's what is in my sort of head, and a centre of culture and music in itself. So Leeds was perhaps a really lovely city to go to, being in the centre of Yorkshire.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I love Yorkshire. It's so beautiful. And we went for, amazing walks. And I used to go down to Derbyshire as well for walks. It was amazing. And Leeds is a really nice sort of, I guess, stepping stone, I think, as well, because I was leaving my home city where I was really comfortable and I knew really well. But, going straight to a big city like London would have felt like a huge jump, I think. So Leeds was a really nice sort of, stepping stone. It wasn't too far to fly home either. And it was, I had an amazing time, did lots of shows, made some really amazing friends as well. It was great.
And were you classed as an international student because you'd come from the Republic of Ireland?
Well, then we were in the EU. So I guess I think I was an EU student. So we had the same fee structure then.
Okay.
It wasn't international, technically.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, I think I don't know whether you get confused or not with the Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, like Ireland is its own country in itself, the Republic of Ireland, and yet Northern Ireland is attached to the UK. So I wondered whether you still had that sort of jump into international fees or not.
Yeah, I wasn't in international fees. I was classed as an international student in the sense that, it was a different system and things. But yeah, there was a shared sort of agreement with EU countries at the time. But yeah, technically, I guess I was an international student. Yeah.
And you certainly had to fly across water to get here.
I did. Yeah.
And so you did 3 years at Leeds, and then what happened?
Yeah. And then I moved to Manchester for a few years. And then I did a postgraduate diploma in careers guidance. I think I sort of realized that I wasn't ready to kind of commit to music straight away. I wanted to try something a little bit different. Like I said earlier, we change so much as we grow up, especially in our late teens, early 20s, really. So I moved to Manchester for a while, and I did a postgraduate in careers guidance at Manchester Metropolitan, and then I worked in a sixth form and sixth form college and a third university sort of level courses.
Tertiary education.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and they did lots of different courses. So I actually really loved working at that college because I worked with teenagers, I worked with 16, 17-year-olds, I worked with people who were doing courses who were, in their 40s and 50s. I worked with people from all over the world. I supported a lot of people who might have been asylum seekers or single parents. It was really, really opened my eyes to, how people come from different backgrounds. People have different religions. People have different family circumstances. So I think for me, it was a really amazing experience and really opened my eyes up to diversity in the world. And working as a careers advisor was really interesting. Again, sort of seeing how people are so talented in so many different ways, and just it's about finding those transferable skills that we can use in lots of different roles.
I feel like you need Katie as your mum, really, helping you to decide on the next career stage, because she's got all that experience as well. How would you start with a young person, Katie? I'm really putting you on the spot.
Oh my
here.
gosh.
I'd be totally selfish to say, how do you help someone to discover what that next step is?
Oh my gosh. I think it's just remembering that you are capable of so many different things is the first thing. Don't feel like you need to box yourself in too early, like what we were talking about earlier, really. Try to go with things that you're passionate about, but remember that there's lots of different roads you can take from one thing. I think there's a lot of pressure to kind of think about exactly what you want to do straight away. I would say think about what you want to do now, something that you feel you can put your heart and soul into, and then other paths will open as you go through that journey.
Because you're feeling massive pressure, aren't you, to make some big decisions?
Yeah, because it's like, all when you're at college, all they're asking you is, I actually had a form the other day. I was sat in biology and she said, you need to fill out this form so I can do your recommendations for you for university. And one of the questions is, what do you want to do? And I put, I don't know. It was like, what do you want to study at university? And I was like, I don't know. So I said to my teacher, I said, I can't fill out this box. I don't know what I want to do. And she said, well, you have to put something. And I was like, but I don't know. So then she just put, well, right, like gap year or something, which I think I'm going to take a gap year. But I was kind of like, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make a decision right there and then, and I have no idea. And I feel like maybe she kind of felt like, oh, then, you know, biology is like a really hard subject. People tend to do it if they want to do medicine or one of those kind of things at university, and you just don't really know what you want to do. And I was like, okay.
I mean, I think a gap year can be really good, though. I think there's no rush, is there? I think, you know, if you need that extra time and that feels right for you, I don't think that can be a bad thing at all. Like, some people have amazing experiences on gap years and, you know, learn lots about themselves. So I think that can be a really good step. Definitely.
Absolutely. And I often think that in life, it's not always the career choice that you make that sort of guides your next step. It's sometimes the people that you meet that you then become curious about what they're doing. You ask a few questions and they sometimes open some doors for you. So maybe that gap year will just give you some space to meet some more people and build some more connections and be a bit more curious about the world.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds amazing.
So you did the career advising role. For how long did you do that? And then
I did that for 3 years. And I was just really missing singing, if I'm totally honest. And I kind of had this sort of niggling feeling that I needed to explore that further, and I needed to explore performing and working as a performer a little bit more. So I started having my singing lessons again, which I loved. And I started doing a little bit of work up in the north with some opera companies in the north and choral societies and things like that. And then I auditioned for masters. And I got offered a few places, but I decided to go to the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London. I always felt that London was somewhere I wanted to live at some point. Because my mum is from London, I have extended family here as well. And yeah, I just felt I needed to give it a go. I needed to explore it.
And you've not left London, so you're obviously very happy there.
Yeah, I do. I love London. It's an amazing city. Yeah.
So you went to the Big Smoke to do Guildhall and the Masters, which is similar to my background in terms of an undergraduate in a music degree at Sheffield, a year out or so. I ran the marathon and did some charity work and worked in my dad's company. And then I went to do my Masters. And I think going to do a Masters in voice, particularly, the later you can leave it, the better, because of that life experience as well.
Yeah.
And bringing the emotion to the stage. We've had a really similar background, Katie and I, which is really lovely. Were your parents really supportive of the music career? Where my mum was very much follow your heart, follow what you're passionate about, whereas my dad really wanted me to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And do something really safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I had a bit of a mixture as well. I mean, both my parents have always been really supportive of me and my brother, but very practical as well. You know, very much. I'm from a family of academics, and you know, I'm from a background where a lot of my family did go to university and sort of ended up in high power careers, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, professional roles.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I was the artist, you know, doing something a little bit different. I think they were just very much, you know, they were quite realistic, and they said, you know, go and do it and have an amazing time and go for it, but, you know, have a backup and realize that. And they were very wise. They sort of said, you know, you're good at lots of things, Katie. You know, don't just think just because you're a good singer or just because you love singing, that's the only thing you can do. There's lots of things that you can do, and there'll be lots of things you learn from your performing, and lots of things that you learn from being on stage and working with others and working with directors and musical directors. So they were very supportive, but also very practical, I guess.
Yeah, it helped to keep you grounded. I think that's really important, isn't it? And I think for you absolutely love the sport side of things. So, you know, I'm the same, like do what you love and enjoy and follow your sport, but also make, you know, netball isn't going to pay every bill. So you need to sort of be realistic about where that's going to go. Would you?
Yeah, but I don't really think about that though, because like you said, I just enjoy lots of different things. Like I love to sing and I love to play sport, any sport, and I never think now that one thing is like that's what I'm going to do. I did used to think like that, but now I think it's just, you know, whatever happens, happens.
You're just letting it unfold,
Yeah.
letting it unfold.
That's a great attitude, I think, to have. I wish I could do that more.
Yeah. And just let the life unfold rather than trying to shape it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you went to London, finished at Guildhall. Did you then still work as a professional singer?
Yeah, I did. I worked for a while as a professional singer with some of the opera companies, the festivals, as a freelancer, kind of doing corporate work as well. I'm very much, I did classical singing and I did opera, but I'm very much of the belief that you don't have to box yourself in as a singer. I did jazz gigs and I did, weddings, and where I was sort of singing pop as well. And really I really enjoy singing a variety of genres. So I did a lot of that. And my other half is a singer as well. So we were working together. We were doing some tours. So it was really, really fun. And I also started working as well at a synagogue in London, where I was doing some choral conducting and working with children's choirs and teenage choirs. So yeah, really kind of nice varied career in London, sort of teaching and singing.
That's absolutely gorgeous. And how did you meet your other half? Was that at the Guildhall or post
No,
when you were working?
Yeah, we actually met earlier in Manchester. So he was in Manchester training at the Royal Northern College of Music when I was up there, and we just met through the singing world. And then we just ended up being cast in lots of productions together. And yeah, we didn't like each other that much when we first met, to be totally honest. But then then we started to realize actually we get on quite well, and now we're best friends. So yeah.
Of course, navigating life together. And the interesting thing is that Katie and her husband, Tom, they got married on the 4th of May, the same as Auntie Hannah.
Yeah.
And our grandmother's birthday and our aunt's birthday. It's really special. So when I saw Katie's post go up like last week, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I'm never going to forget her anniversary either.
Yeah.
Such a special date.
It's a good day.
It's a really good day. It's a really good day to celebrate. So what, in terms of, you were singing, you were working as a teacher and a choral director and building a one-to-one practice. And is that when you got married and had children? What, how did life navigate then? Because obviously I know that you're a mum, so we need to come on to your 3 gorgeous children.
Mm-hmm. So we got married, and then I got pregnant pretty soon after, a few months later, and we were really excited. We really wanted to be parents, and obviously really nervous as well. It's a big deal becoming a mum and being responsible for another human being, but very, very excited. I guess I knew the performing might have to take a back seat for a little while, but was hoping I would get back to it once she was a bit older. But life had other plans, really.
So what happened? Because I know that you have a daughter, one eldest daughter, and 2 younger sons. But life changed, I suppose, when you gave birth to your eldest daughter. All wasn't as expected, I suppose.
Yeah. So when Leia was born, we realized fairly early on that she was poorly. When children are born, they have a newborn hearing test in the hospital, and we realized then that she wasn't hearing properly. So we went for more tests for her hearing, and as part of that, they do an MRI. So that's where they look inside the brain. And incidentally, they noticed that she had severe white matter damage to her brain. So we knew very early on, this was a couple of months in, that she was going to have a journey ahead of her. And we ended up going to Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is an amazing hospital, and we're very lucky to live near there. And they also realized when she got there that she also had some pretty severe kidney issues as well. Her kidneys weren't working properly, and it kind of turned into a bit of a spiral that we were we were having more and more diagnoses as the year went on. We realized there was something wrong with her heart. She wasn't seeing properly, she wasn't growing properly, she had very high blood pressure, and it was a really tough year, really, really difficult.
I'm sure, because presumably, I think we've spoken before together that your pregnancy was, you didn't know anything until Leia was born, and so it was a journey that unfolded for you in that first year. It must have been one thing after another.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, when you're a first time parent, it's all really scary anyway, because
Yes,
someone just hands you this tiny little thing and you're like, what do I do? I remember my husband being like, I've never changed the nappy. What, you know, what do we do? So that it's scary and, you know, all totally new in the first place. And we had that to deal with, obviously, but then we had all this medical jargon and information coming at us, and neither of us are medical. And you know, we were told very early on that she might not make a year. So it was emotionally very difficult. And just everything that we had kind of hoped for and planned had just shifted, and, you know, felt very much like was ripped away from us, I guess.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And I suppose it was just like, oh, I can't imagine how you navigated that year, obviously strongly together, and supporting each other, but just not as expected, and you just have to go through the process. But I know about you, Katie, that you're really, you know, you're a fabulous communicator, and you will have absolutely researched everything and made sure everything, you got the best in every which way. So, you know, how did you navigate that? What you know, someone out there who's listening to this podcast who's just found out about their child or something in their pregnancy, like what advice would you give to them?
So I would say I'm not following my own what I actually did. I would change what I did. I sort of started googling everything, and, you know, actually really freaking myself out, to be totally honest. I would say try not to read every single paper in the world that's online. You know, go with advice on what to read, because you can really scare yourself. The other thing I would say is every child is an individual. Even if your child has complex needs, they are still an individual. There is no cookie cutter shape that a child is going to fit into. Just because an MRI says something doesn't mean that, you know, it's going to be A or B. We had to wait and see what happened with Leia. We had to give her time to see what she was going to do, and remember that, you know, you're still her mummy at the end of the day. You know, and she still needs the regular baby and child things, you know, love and fun and joy and care. Her medical condition and her disability is just a really small part of who she is.
Absolutely. And what is her medical condition? Because I know it's incredibly rare.
Yeah.
And I've read different things, you know, different articles that you've done, because you've done so many amazing things for Leia and for your whole family. Tell us about that condition and how it affects the day to day.
Yeah, so Leia has a type of mitochondrial disease. The mitochondria are kind of like the batteries in our cells. So in every cell in our body, we have mitochondria, and they help keep us well, and they help give us energy. And Leia has a gene mutation, which means that her mitochondria aren't working properly. Mitochondrial disease can affect every or any organ in your body. And depending on which gene is affected, it can affect children differently. They are on the whole life-limiting conditions. There's no cure. All there is treatment to make things easier. And it has there's lots of different types of mitochondrial diseases. So Leia's is very, very rare. There's very few in the world. The actual exact gene that caused it was only found in 2016. But mitochondrial disease itself is less rare than you would think. I think it affects about 1 in 5,000 people in the world. Adults can get it as well. So it can present later in life. But there are some amazing charities and medical professionals doing huge research into it. There's a wonderful charity called the Lilly Foundation who work with children and adults and their families, looking into mitochondrial disease research and also supporting the families themselves. But a lot of people haven't heard of it. And I think, you know, it's important to get the word out there.
Hi everyone, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We're just cutting in to say, if you're enjoying our podcast, please click the follow button on whichever platform you're listening on. And please leave us a review. We'd be so grateful for your support and feedback. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you are loving our school run chats and debates, please consider buying us a virtual coffee. The link will be in the description of every podcast episode, and it will also be in the bio of our Instagram, which is @theschoolrun_official. And why not give it a follow while you're there, so you can see all the updates and get sneak peeks at upcoming episodes. Thank you so much and happy listening.
I think it's about raising awareness, isn't it, of all of these things?
Yeah, it is.
And I'd never heard of this condition, and it's, I suppose for you, you're learning all of the time, and as research comes out, you'll be onto the next thing and seeing. I know that Leia had a kidney transplant, and it was really lucky that your husband was able to donate his kidney. That must have been and when did that happen? Was it all around COVID time?
Yeah, it was all, so COVID, yeah, it was a really strange time for everyone, wasn't it, COVID? I mean, we were, I guess, lucky in a sense. Leia was born in 2019, so thankfully I was able to have a lot of support with, have my husband with me in the hospital. My mum was with me a lot, my mother-in-law. We were able to have that support, thankfully. So yeah, when COVID came along, Leia was on the shielding list because she's obviously extremely vulnerable. So it was a very strange time because we just sort of sheltered in our house and didn't go anywhere. And other than one or two appointments, everything was cancelled for her. And because Leia's vulnerable, when she gets sick, she gets really, really sick. So actually having those few months where we didn't go anywhere or see anyone was, in a funny way, sort of a nice time for us, because we just really bonded as a family. My husband was on furlough. I was just working remotely, and Leia didn't get sick because we weren't seeing anyone.
Of course, so there was no germs for her to come into contact with, nobody else's bacteria that could affect. So in many ways, it was almost, in an awful sense, a blessing, because you have that wonderful time not having to rush to the hospital all the time.
Yeah, and it was a very weird situation because, like everyone, we really missed seeing our loved ones and we missed seeing our friends. And remember the first time we went for a walk, when we'd been in the house for 3 months, it was the weirdest thing, just seeing another person. But at the same time, yeah, it gave us that really special time with her. We didn't have any other children then, and that was amazing. And then the world started opening up a little bit again, but we were very uncomfortable kind of as that was happening, because we were so scared about her getting sick. Leia had kidney failure. It was sort of at stage 2 kidney failure when COVID started, but once you're into stage 4, that's when you need to start looking at dialysis or a transplant. And every time she picked up any kind of bug, it would kind of knock her kidney function down a little bit further. So we were living in this weird world where we wanted her to have experiences, especially knowing she's probably going to have a shorter life. You want to fill that life with joy and quality. So it was a real battle for us to know how much to interact with others and how much to try and shield her and protect her. But we did come to the conclusion that life is for living and life is for experiences. And if you're going to have a short life, let's make it an amazing short life.
Absolutely full of joy and lots and lots and lots of memories.
Yeah, exactly. And then when 2022, she ended up in stage 4 kidney failure, and it was coming to the decision of we needed to make a decision whether we wanted to do a preemptive transplant, it's called. In this time, by the way, I'd had another baby. I'd had my little boy Robin.
Yeah.
This time he was born in 2021. He's thankfully well. He was it was a joy and a totally different experience for me, because I'd never had a well baby.
Of course.
He was doing the baby things that he was meant to do. He was sitting up, he was clapping,
making the milestones.
Yeah, which I never had with Leia in the same way. So it was quite bittersweet for me as well, seeing him do things at 4 months that she still wasn't doing.
Yes.
At 2 years old.
And having a little boy and not a little girl, I mean, they're different anyway, aren't they? Boys and girls, like you say, every child is completely unique and has their own amazing qualities to share. So a totally different experience on so many levels.
Yeah, completely different. And yeah, like talking about Robin, people say, how is it for him? And I have another son now, Dylan, that this is just their normal. This is their normal. They've grown up with her, and they're just, especially Robin, who's coming up to 3 now. He's just the most empathetic, sweet little boy, and he loves his big sister so much. So as much as it's difficult for them, I think there's so much children can gain from living with someone else with different needs and sort of seeing the world. He just sees the world in a completely different light.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Going to grow up. Well, both boys are going to grow up amazing young men who, like you say, have that empathy, have that understanding, have that care, take that time, and see the world through a different lens.
Yeah, exactly. And and going back to the kidney transplant, like we mentioned earlier, Tom was thankfully a good match for Leia, so we didn't have to do dialysis, and we had 2 cancellations of the transplant at the last minute, which were really, really difficult, because you gear yourself up and you psych yourself up for this big thing, because Tom and Leia were both going to go into surgery in different hospitals, and it was very scary. And then they got cancelled, and then we had to shield again because she had to be well for the transplant. So we kind of did an extra year of COVID in a sense.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we did an extra year of it to make sure she was well. And then it did eventually happen in July 2022.
And it all was absolutely successful and went really well. But it's difficult for you, Katie, as mum, because your husband, who you love, is in one hospital. Your daughter, who you adore, is in another hospital. And that commute and that not being able to cross-contaminate, I guess, as well, with the COVID thing and the shielding and all of that, really complex to navigate.
Yeah, it was such a weird time. So yeah, Tom was in Guy's Hospital and Leia was in Great Ormond Street. And Leia was in sort of the most sort of protected room. She had to go through double doors because she was on very high dose immune suppression after a very high dose of steroids as well. We couldn't see anyone, we couldn't go anywhere. Thankfully, Great Ormond Street were amazing, and they put, my mum flew over from Ireland to be there with us, and Tom's parents looked after him. And they put my mum and Robin, my son, up in a hotel really nearby, and they even kept her in a room away from everyone else, so I could at least see Robin, which was really important because he was only 9 months old.
So. Sure, what a juggling act! It's unbelievable what you've done. From that time, you must have learned from all of our experiences in life. We learn some lessons, don't we? And we learn some more wisdom. What did you learn from that time and navigating it?
Just how capable we all are, and how strong we all are. Just seeing Tom make that huge decision and huge gift for Leia was amazing to see, and heroic. Seeing Leia, seeing her in ICU afterwards, intubated, and she was fighting the intubation. She wanted to be awake, and just seeing how strong a little girl she was, like she'd been through so much, and it's one of the biggest surgeries you can have, really. And just see her fight, like she fights all the time, realizing how strong I was, I guess, as well. I was so scared of doing it all without Tom at the beginning, because throughout this whole process, we've really been each other's strength. We've been an amazing team. They often say in really stressful situations, like a child with a very sick child, it can make or break you, and it very much made us. And it was hard being separated, but I realized that I could do it. I could do it with, on my own, physically being there on my own. And just putting your trust as well in others, because, you're literally giving your child to the group team to
look after them.
Look after them, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are inspirational. I've heard that described about you many times on social media posts, under articles, but really inspiring. And I'm sure it doesn't feel like that sometimes, but you to be able to talk about this and to share your experience with others can help others in their time of need, and think, oh gosh, that lady's gone through this, she's come through, and still going through lots of things, but it's just inspiring to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, I mean, again, before I was in this world, I very, never really met many children, especially with complex needs or disabilities. And having, being at Great Ormond Street, and we go to Noah's Ark Children's Hospice as well. They're amazing in North London. And I've met so many other families, other mums and dads and children and siblings, grandparents as well. And people often say to me, oh, you're so strong. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. But I would have said the same thing 6 years ago. You don't realize how strong you are till you have to be strong sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But also remembering at all times to take care of yourself as well, and to have those breaks. So, I know that you've got a great support network, and you couldn't do this without Tom and your mum and your dad and his family and friends, but and the hospice and the different charities involved. But it's the support that we've got around us that help us to keep getting through as well. I'm sure you'd recognize those people around you.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, you really learn who your amazing friends and family are when you're put, in a difficult situation. My parents and Tom's parents have been absolutely amazing and wonderful, and they're visiting us all the time and helping us. So many of my friends have just been there for me so much, just checking in, making meals, and helping with my other children. And, my colleagues, in different places of work that I work, and, people have really rallied around us. A few years ago, last year we had to adapt our home to make it wheelchair accessible because Leia's unable to walk. And we realized that you get a bit of a grant from the government, but it's not enough to do the work that we needed. And someone suggested doing a crowdfunder, and I felt a bit funny about it. I was like, oh, I've never done that before. And
can you explain to Liv what a crowdfunder is? Because I'm not sure whether you know what that is, do you?
Crowdfunding?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much that's what it is. But yeah, we set up a website where we explain what we're trying to raise money for, and then people can donate as much as they want, basically, towards that. So we set one up to build Leia a home, basically, and to make our house more accessible. And I kind of thought, oh, maybe we'll, get a few £1,000 here and there. Maybe, that would be amazing. That would be great. And people just wanted to help, and people shared it, and we actually raised £40,000 for Leia's home.
Wow,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And what did that do to your home? How did you change your home to make it accessible? What were the things that happened?
So we basically changed the whole downstairs. So Leia now can live completely on the ground floor. So she has a bedroom downstairs. We put in a wet room for her. We put in a hoist. So she's getting heavy now. So, rather than pick her up to transfer her from one piece of equipment to the other, we hoist her. We have a ramp as well to get her in and out the house. We have wheelchair friendly floors. So we got rid of all our old floors and have special material down, which is on slip and better for wheelchairs. We widen the doors, lots of things.
Oh, it's incredible. It's just incredible. And how old is Leia now? She was born in 2019. So
yeah, it's her birthday on Monday, actually. May the 20th is her birthday.
Oh,
she's going to be 5.
She's going to be 5, and she's at school now. I remember when we first started speaking, she was going to special school, and she's settled in beautifully, and you're really pleased with all of that.
Yeah, she absolutely loves school. Her school are amazing. Teachers and teaching assistants who work in special schools are just the most amazing people. They are so wonderful with her. Leia has a lot of difficulties in terms of her development. She doesn't speak. She's nonverbal. She's fed via a tube. She can't, eat orally. And they just work with her, and are finding, together with us, finding ways for her to communicate with us. She's using something called an eye gaze. So it's like a sort of a tablet where she can look at things to make choices, and it tells us where she's looking, which is amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
She absolutely loves music. I mean, just recently, I haven't even had a minute to send you the link, but I think you might have seen it on one of our groups.
Yeah.
That you did a lovely article for Children's Activities Week, which is happening this week as we're doing this recording, about how Leia accesses music and how much you've brought music to her, obviously with your and Tom's background as well. It's a really special part of her day and an amazing way for you to communicate together.
Yeah, very early on, one of the things we did with Leia was music therapy. Just, she does have hearing loss, but she wears hearing aids, which really help. And she just lit up when we started singing with her, and we started like playing the drums and ringing bells, and just lit up and smiled and made these amazing happy noises, and really sort of tried to sort of sing with us. She likes humming as well. And it's always been something that I can share with her. Even, she was in hospital recently and she was really upset, and I just put on some music and was singing with her, and it just calmed her down. It's a very, singing and music and listening can be extremely healing. And when she has had long stints in hospital, especially, that's a huge part of the process of helping her feel better.
Yeah, a calming and sort of safe for her, I suppose. It's a safe space, isn't it, to hear that music, and you'll know her favorite songs, I guess, and the ones that she lights up more to than others.
She likes something with a good beat.
Does she?
Yeah, she loves a bit of like techno, a bit of dance.
I love that. Absolutely love that. I literally could chat on this podcast for maybe like another hour, because I've almost got so many questions, and I feel like this episode's going to really help so many people to navigate whatever they're navigating, because challenges come. You didn't expect this when you were a 16-year-old at college and on your school run with your mum and dad, and yet you've navigated it as an individual and as a family. And now a third baby. You had your third son last autumn.
Dylan came along last autumn, and he's just brought even more joy into our life. It's busy, I'm not gonna lie, but he's just the sweetest little guy. He's always smiling. He loves his big sister and his big brother. And it's fun, and they're just gonna all grow up together, hopefully. And I just really hope they have this amazing bond. And we're living a different life, I guess, to your average life, if there is such a thing. But just because there's a lot of difficulty, as time goes on, we're finding the joy in a lot of things, which at the beginning of getting such a difficult diagnosis, you feel like you're never going to be happy again. But the happiness comes, and the happiness comes in ways that you maybe wouldn't have expected before you're in this sort of situation.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot. I mean, we interviewed Charlie Bezic on one of our episodes. Do you remember the Charlie Bezic episode? And she said, she almost was grieving for the mum that she thought she was going to be at first. But then, now, she wouldn't change anything for the world. And actually her greatest thing is saying to people, she was just saying, just let's smile and enjoy and take joy in every moment.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I think that's a great way to be. And like you said, you have to look after yourself as well. There are going to be days, and there are days for me, where things just feel totally overwhelming and difficult and tough. And but reminding yourself that things will move on, things will change. There'll be new challenges, but there'll be new amazing adventures as well. She's a fighter, and it makes me want to fight even harder as well, seeing her fight. I definitely don't sweat the small stuff as much as I used to. Used to sweat the small stuff a lot.
Yeah, and it's not worth that energy anymore, is it? It's just
It's different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've come into Little Voices at the end, just before the autumn last year, August last year, to take on your business journey now as an entrepreneur within the education and music and drama world, and you're juggling that as well. Like it's awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping. There's occasions when you'll ring me and you'll say, I've been in hospital last night, or Tom's in hospital, but that's, like you say, what's normal. This is your normal, and you live with it. But tell us a little bit about your passion for Little Voices. And I know we share it, that all children should have access to performing arts, whoever, wherever, whatever is going on for them. And you've thrown yourself into the project with Bright Futures and helping children in hospitals with the Little Voices charitable program and all sorts of things. Just give me, because I think some of your parents from North London will perhaps listen to this episode and learn a bit more about Katie as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a drive to, I always guess I had an entrepreneurial spirit, if that's, the best way to put it. But things have been difficult, obviously, for the last few years. And since the transplant, things have been a lot more stable with Leia generally, and her going to school. And I just felt very passionately that I wanted to explore working with children and teaching them what all the skills that I enjoyed growing up. And I know how amazing, Liv, you obviously know this from, doing Little Voices since you were so young. I know how amazing it is growing up singing and doing drama, and how many skills that they teach you. I also still have all my really close friends from home from doing singing and drama as well. So I was looking into it and thinking, actually, I really want to do this, but I don't think I can do this totally on my own. I feel like that's a lot. And then I have a friend, Lucy, who is in Bexley, and we got chatting about Little Voices, and I thought, actually, that sounds like the ethos of Little Voices sounded right up my street. And I got in touch with you, Jane, and I just instantly felt a connection and felt like, Little Voices had amazing values, and you were so passionate as well. And I just wanted to be able to share that with children around me. I understand the power of music. I understand the power of being together and putting on, performances, or just, even just drama games, and how much fun it is. And also, obviously, being able to, have a Lambda qualification is even better, because it's nice to have that achievement at the end of the day. But I just felt, they often say, give a busy person a task. And I feel like that can be me, everything I've had to learn to do with Leia, because she needs a lot, she attends a lot of appointments. We have a lot of, documents to fill out, so, she's under so many medical professionals. And I just have become a very, very organized, very
methodical.
Yeah. Methodical person.
Yeah.
I thought, I can put these transferable skills into something else as well.
I think it'd be really nice for you to share, Liv, your experience of Little Voices with Katie, and for Katie's parents in North London. It's our latest centre to open, but what have you gained from it as a teenager, and growing up with a mum who's worked, for all of three of Katie's children?
Yeah, well, obviously I've been at Little Voices since 4, so for a very long time, 10, 13 years. Well, that seems crazy. And I've done about 55 theatre weeks or something crazy. But I think for me, a lot of it is about the people that I've met at Little Voices. My group has been, because obviously the groups are only very small, I'm pretty much best friends with everyone in my group, because there's only like 8 of us. And a lot of them have actually, obviously some people come and go, but then there's been quite a few of us that have been there for a really, really long time together. So, and actually each week we come, and we always now deliberately get there a bit earlier so we can chat even more when we're there, talking about what we've done all week. And just like my tutors as well, and we always go through all the singing teachers we've had and the drama teachers we've had, and how much we love all of them that have been here. And now Hayley, we've got Hayley and Kirsty and Liv, the new drama teacher. And also they're kind of like, they're your tutors, but they're also like your friends as well, like, because you all just get on, and then you also get to share the love of singing and drama, and I love it. And when I did have to take time off from Little Voices, the first thing I was like, get me back to Little Voices right now. Like, I just need to go on a Thursday. I just need to be there, just to like, even just to sit and be with my friends and listen to the songs. And yeah, I couldn't do life without Little Voices. And having you obviously that runs it, I used to sit in the office and pretend to be on the phone and be like, hello, this is Olivia from Little Voices. Please call us back on this number. I wasn't talking to anyone, but I was just pretending that I was. And being in the head office and seeing everything in the big whiteboards, and I feel like I've just kind of been there from like the start.
Well, she has been there from the start, because she was 3 months old when I started. Originally, we had no idea we would be working with incredible individuals like yourself across the country, and just impacting young people. That's what it's always been about, like the ability for them to just be themselves, to find who they are, find their happy place, share that shared love of a subject, and do it away from a school environment as well. In many ways, it's not the school teacher delivering it, it's an outsider, and that is a really special space.
Yeah, and I guess that people, like you say, when people think of like maybe like a singing and a drama school, they're thinking, oh, you wanting to put people on the West End stage and that's what it's all about. But actually, obviously there has been lots of success stories, but also I love the ones like when you say a child has come in the first week and they didn't speak and they were really not confident, and then they've been there for a couple of months and now they're super confident, and they're the stories that kind of, I guess, touch you more, because it's not about just going to be on the West End or doing something in theatre. It's about life skills that you're going to take into whatever you want to do in life.
Yeah. And yeah, like what you've said, Liv, like that's so true. And I'm definitely using all the skills that I learned from singing and drama and performing in everything I do as a mom, and everything I do as a carer, and everything I do as a teacher. I feel like I'm confident using my voice. I'm confident standing up and speaking to people. I'm confident about, and comfortable as well with speaking with new people, because I'm having to meet new people a lot of the time, both in my personal and professional life. All these things, I feel that singing and drama and just sort of being in a position where I'm on a stage in some way or just performing in front of others have given me so many different skills. And yeah, like you said, it doesn't mean you have to go on and be a professional opera singer or a professional West End star or film star. You might go off and be a architect or a hairdresser, but you're going to use these skills. And even just from being open for a few, like not even just, I think it's a month tomorrow we opened, I'm seeing like this amazing boost of confidence in some of these children already, and getting texts from parents saying they've come home and they've just had a smile on their face all evening. And that for me, as a teacher, as a tutor, as a principal, and just feeling personally as a mum, I know that's the most important thing. You want your child to be happy and you want your child to feel safe and secure. And if I can do that, and if I can help others do that through Little Voices, then I'm doing my job.
Oh, it's just incredible. It fills my heart sings, because I know that we all share this ultra passion to help children be the best version of themselves and give them that creatively safe space to explore who they are on, and as a journey. And I always say to people, and I know that you will, Katie, so many times, the magic happens in that small class. The magic happens there that you can't describe until a child's been part of it or the parents witnessed it. And so even in that short time that you've been open, people are feeling it and sensing that, and that's so joyful.
Yeah, I think the smaller classes really allow us as professionals, as tutors, to get to know the children, to get to know their own individual personalities, the things that they feel confident with, and the things they don't feel so confident about. I think it's important that there's an individual approach to each child who attends a Little Voices lesson. No two people are the same, so we shouldn't treat them that way.
Absolutely not. And then on that note, no two schools are the same, no two cultures are the same, no two religions are the same, no, everything is, and we have to take everything on its own merit and work to that strength. And I know that you bring so much to our network in terms of your background as a mom and as a carer and as a singer, as a professional, but also with your Jewish background as well, and knowledge of the area where you are is lots of Jewish schools as well. So you're able to bring so much and bring individuality to the performing arts on so many different levels.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I love living in London is just the cultural diversity here. I'm Irish, I'm Jewish, I'm I'm also a little bit Scottish. I've got loads of stuff. I've got a German last name. There's so many things going on, and I love that about living in London. Like the cultural diversity, working with people from different backgrounds, different languages, different religions. It's just a melting pot, and I think it's great. And I love the fact that we also have children of all different backgrounds, the schools of all different backgrounds in the area, and I want to learn more, and I want to be able to use my experience with other schools and with children. And I think there's so much bonding that can be done through singing as well, and through drama. I think the world can be a really difficult place sometimes in terms of people from different backgrounds. Sometimes it can sometimes feel like the world is trying to tear us apart, but actually music, performing, being together, we actually need to be together.
Absolutely, create that connection.
Yeah.
And it does it so well. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I've loved this conversation. Liv has listened a lot, and she's coming at the end with all of her wisdom about Little Voices. But I know that I've just looked at her eyes, and she's been watching and listening and processing everything. It's just been a fantastic episode. Who has been a big teacher or mentor and impact in your life over the years? I'm sure there's been many people, but anyone in particular?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, I was thinking about this when I was reading the questions you sent, Jane. I think I had a singing teacher when I was quite young, and one of the things that she said to me was, never feel like you have to box yourself in any way. Don't say, this was like often in terms of a musical aspect, but I really took it with me in life. So don't say you're a soprano, don't say you're a jazz singer, don't say you're this and that. Do everything, give it all a go. And she was so passionate about it. We used to have the most amazing time, singing with her, and she really instilled this sense of confidence and belief in myself. And I still, I still in contact with her, and I give a lot of credit to her in terms of what I'm doing now. Because actually she made me confident to go forward and follow my dreams.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. And I'm sure when she listens to this back, she'll know who she is.
Yeah.
And feel quite special in that moment, and also having heard the rest of your entire story on this episode. What would you go back and tell younger Katie?
Oh, I wrote this down so I remember. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I would just tell my younger self that you are so much more capable than you believe you are. You are so you were stronger than you'll ever know as well. And to listen to your gut as well, I would say. Don't be afraid to take risks. I think I'm quite a risk averse person in many ways. Hate gambling. I remember I put £1 on a roulette wheel once and nearly had a heart attack. But yeah, I think don't be afraid to take a leap of faith sometimes, I think.
Yeah, because you never know where you're going to land.
Yeah.
A roulette table is probably a little bit too risky, but calculated risks and risks based on opinion, maybe you can end up somewhere where you wouldn't have done otherwise.
Roulette tables, terrible odds. Yeah, I think no, just don't be afraid to, don't be afraid to go for it, I think.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on and for reaching out to me and being brave and saying, because you've said at the beginning, I've never been on a podcast before, but for going through this journey. And it's almost at the end of it, I think you'll probably come off the episode and thinking, oh my gosh, we covered so much. And that was quite a journey. But I think you'll have helped so many people. And people may want to reach out to you based on what they're going through as a mom or a carer, or something that's resonated for them, or they may be wanting to reach out to you because of your work with Little Voices North London. So how do people contact you or read more about Katie? I know there's lots of press articles out there online, and your name is very easily Googleable in terms of Hainbach. But I know that if you want to just give how people can contact you.
Yeah, so you can, I'm on Instagram, personal Instagram. It's just at Katie Hainbach. I'm sure you'll put how to spell my name in the show notes.
I will.
It's a funny one. And yeah, you can find Little Voices North London on social media, or we're at there's the Little Voices North London web page as well, which and you can probably put in the notes, so you can contact me that way as well. And I also have a website, so if you Google me, you should find multiple ways of contacting me.
You absolutely will. Will. And thank you for joining us. We always finish with a school run memory. It can be one of your own school run memories, or a school run that you're currently having with Leia. Because I know your two boys are not yet at school. So what would you like to share with us today?
So when I'm going to share one of my school run memories, and I used to share my school run with a friend who lived locally to me, and I just have the most amazing memories of having fun with her together and just building connections and just being really silly and having a laugh together, and we're still super close friends now, nearly 30 years later. So it was building connection with my friends, and with my it was mainly my dad actually who did the school run with me as well. So I think that was it, building connections.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on the school run. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the School Run podcast. We absolutely love doing the podcast. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you'd like to buy us a virtual coffee, we'd be really, really grateful. You just need to go to www.buymeacoffee.com/the school run. That's buymeacoffee.com/the school run. You can also follow us on Instagram at the school run _official, or TikTok with the same name, at the school run _official. And we always really appreciate your reviews and feedback. On the platform that you're listening to, you can review our podcast and give us a star rating. We'd love to have your comments and receive your feedback. Thank you so much for being a massive support of our journey.